বসে আছি ওহে দয়াময় পারে লয়ে যাও আমায় পারে লয়ে যাও আমায়. Today, I will tell you the story of a refugee mother. We don't know her real name, but for thousands of years, people from different corners of the earth have called her Hajara, Hagar, or Hagar, which means the one who migrates. Hajara had to migrate to save the life of her little child. She had to take refuge in such a place where no one knew her, and she didn't know anyone either. Hajara ran desperately between two mountains called Safa and Marwa to provide a drop of water to her little child. Those mountains, Safa and Marwa, means clarity, and Marwa means the stone that creates fire. Hajara knew that even if no one knew her pain, no one sees her fear, her longing, God sees her. Hence, she became the only character of Bible to name God El Roi. That means the God who sees me. The most fascinating part of this story is that Hajara's followers have been recreating this act of desperate running between two mountains for thousands of years. The place between Safa and Marwa is called Al-Masa. That means the place where people strive. We can call this place the Borderlands. Gloria Anzaldúa, a renowned poet, writer, and scholar of Chicana feminism, delves into the multifaceted nature of Borderlands in her book, Borderlands, La Frontera, which was published in the year 1987. In Borderlands, Anzaldúa establishes the border of US Texas Southwest and Mexican border as a metaphor for all different kinds of crossings. In Anzaldúa's words, borderlands are the places where different cultures converge, where people from different races occupy the same territory. We can see that these borderlands can be in different kind of borderlands, like geopolitical, sexual, spiritual, and psychological. And if we think of today's world, we can see such places, such significant places. Can you say any name like this kind of geopolitical borderlands where people from different races occupy the same territory? Don't worry, we are not going to talk about those geopolitical borderlands today. Let's take a deep breath. Exhale. Let's reflect on our own stories of being at the borderlands. Let's think about situations when you are asked to choose between either this or that. Let's think about situations when you started questioning your own identity. The moments that led you into confusion, that made you question everything around you. If we contemplate, we'll find ourselves in the midst of different complex identities. We don't have the opportunity to take the audience responses, but I can tell you my experience. I'm a Bengali Muslim woman, was born and raised in Bangladesh, currently living in the USA and working on my research in the field of women and gender studies in religion. I carry the burden of collective trauma of being colonized for centuries. This historical experience has led many of my people to question their own identity. Like their colonizers, they have started believing that their Bengali identity does not really complement their Muslim identity. Often the idea of being Bengali Muslim is perceived or has been perceived as an absurd and practically impossible thing. So my thoughts and my understanding of religion has been shaped by my upbringing in a conservative Bengali Muslim family, with lots of ups and downs, with some deaths in my family, with some displacements along with that, has shaped my thoughts. I started to focus on religion from my own perspective, from a woman's perspective. Since then, I'm focusing on reclaiming the position of matriarchs in religion. When I started sharing my thoughts on this, my non-Muslim friends said, "Why don't you abandon Islam?" And my Muslim friends said, "The Ummah has abandoned you." I understand that this is the colonizers' move to create confusion in us about our identity so that we spend all of our energies to prove our mere existence. Ansal Dua talked about the plight of women of color. Women of color feel alienated from their mother culture. At the same time, they remain alien to the new culture they're exposed to. This is a very confusing state to be in, not a very pleasant state to be in, but we can transform this state into the source of strength. As Ansal Dua said, to survive the borderlands, you must live sin fronteras, be a crossroads. So when I find myself in the borderlands, I try to find the crossroads. How do we find that crossroads? I again turn to Ansal Dua's idea of la facultad. La facultad is a heightened mode of consciousness that helps us to navigate the complexities around us, to transcend the borders. And what I found is, through my experiences of dialogue, working in the field of dialogue, I found that we can cultivate this faculty. And I found 4 steps to cultivate this faculty. The first one is leaving home. The second one is to accept the reality of being at the borderlands. And the third one is dialogue with yourself. And fourth one is dialogue with the others. So what is this, the idea of leaving home? So to me, this home can be both psychological or physical, or either psychological or physical. Ansaldua wrote that she left home to find out her intrinsic nature that was buried beneath the personality that was imposed on her. So I also found that leaving home is very important to come back to your whole being. So this idea of leaving home is not maybe forever. You will come back, but for the time being, you can leave to see yourself from other outside perspective. Then you have to accept the reality of being at the borderlands. At this point, I would suggest to involve yourself in dialogue, in the process of dialogue. I engage myself in the practices of interreligious and intercultural dialogue, where I got the chance to meet a lot of people who also shared their experience of being at various kinds of borderlands. And in the process of dialogue, both internal and external dialogue is vital. So throughout the whole process, we talk to ourselves, and at the same time, we talk to the others. And in these, throughout my journey of on the path of interreligious and intercultural dialogue, I found that when I immerse myself in the diversity, it helps me to find the crossroads. My prophet Hajara found the source of water while she was running between the two mountains, and she found the source of water where she was striving. She found the source of water at the borderlands. And Hajara's followers kept continuing this practice, this act of desperate running in search of source of life. This is a very interesting example of a ritual to be a source of empowerment. So we can create such kind of rituals and festivals that helps us to transcend borders. As example, this year during the month of Ramadan, which is a fasting season for Muslims, one of my Jewish friends observed solidarity fasting. And on a Friday evening during the fasting season, amidst of all the hustle and bustle of Koreatown, we met at my friend's place, and there were other young Jews and Muslims together. We celebrate Iftar and Shabbat together. So that was the crossroads. Like in the midst of Koreatown, we created a crossroads. I started my presentation with a song from Lalon Fakir, who is a Bengali Sufi poet and philosopher. And his whole life is an example of a life from the borderlands to the crossroads. And Lalon Fakir sang very beautifully that সব লোকে কয় লালন কি জাত সংসারে, সব লোকে কয় লালন কি জাত সংসারে, লালন বলে জাতের কি রূপ, লালন বলে জাতের কি রূপ, দেখলাম না এই নজরে, সব লোকে কয় লালন কি জাত সংসারে. Let's play with the different shades of our identity. Let's transform the borderlands into the crossroads. Thank you.